Vince Gilligan is going back to his X-Files roots with Pluribus. Will his novel take on alien invasion, zombie apocalypse tropes infect us all with adoration? Or is it destined to flop like so many other ambitious sci-fi projects? After watching the first episodes, we definitely have some thoughts. A lot goes down in the two-part premiere of Pluribus. After detecting an extraterrestrial signal that's being broadcasted from 600 light-years away, scientists eventually figure out that it's a sort of recipe for something. They just don't know exactly what. So they do the sensible thing and start messing around in the lab. What could go wrong? Next thing you know, everyone's glitching out, making out, and licking pastries. That's enough to make you think twice about grabbing a free donut from the box at work. Before long, the entire world is infected with the manufactured virus, which causes everyone to be super chill and more united as a species than ever before. Definitely not your typical alien invasion zombie apocalypse scenario. We'll dive into how this weird virus actually works in a bit. Okay, we shouldn't say the entire world is infected. There's one woman in America who has complete immunity, Carol Sturka.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
After being contacted by one of the very friendly infected people, she learns that it will only be a matter of months before they figure out how to, quote, fix her and make her the same as everyone else. She also learns that there are a handful of others like her scattered across the globe. Since the infected are so easygoing, they even help Carol bring them all together so that she can share her horror with them and discuss how to stop this confounding takeover from happening. But the rendezvous doesn't quite go as planned. Pretty much everyone beside her doesn't mind these new developments in the slightest. Everyone's so cordial. Violence and war and inequality are no more. The infected will do pretty much whatever you ask of them. What's not to love? As the second episode comes to an end, it looks like Carol really is alone in the world after all, at least for now. So what's Carol's deal? What makes her so different? She's a successful yet incredibly cynical historical romance author who abhors her own work and the legions of people who gobble it all up. We learn early on that not only does she have a bit of an alcohol problem, she also hides her romantic relationship with her manager, Helen, from her fanbase. It's even revealed that Helen inspired her recurring main character, who was originally supposed to be a woman. Pretty sad. What's even sadder is that Helen dies pretty much right away. As the invasion apocalypse unfolds, we see that Carol is capable and pretty dang smart. The only dumb thing she does is try to break into her own house by weakly smashing a rock against the door. Ever heard of Windows, Carol? Good thing her friendly infected neighbors know what's up.
Remember April 2016? The last time you got locked out? You put a spare key under the flower pot.
Beyond that, she's stubborn, snarky, and has a strong sense of morality, which is ultimately what separates her from the few other people who have yet to be affected by the virus. But is her sense of morality as sound as she thinks it is? More on that in a minute. Before we get to that, we have to talk about the virus and how it actually works. As explained by one of the infected people in the first episode, the virus is a product of extraterrestrial tech. The signal scientists received is composed of 4 unique tones, which represents a recipe for a nucleotide sequence. It essentially acts as a psychic glue and binds every infected person together in a way that pretty much makes them a single entity, sort of like the Borg in Star Trek, but without all the mechanical cyborg stuff. The hive mind thing becomes especially apparent when Carol asks an infected kid to answer a gynecology question that only a gynecologist would know the answer to. And while the infected are also all about domination and assimilation, they're not violent, like at all. In fact, they can't bring themselves to hurt any living thing.
If you step on tiny insect by accident.
We try not to. We can't purposely end life.
Not only are they peaceful, they don't respond too well to criticism. As Carol learns early on, freaking out and yelling at them causes them, as in literally every infected person on Earth, to malfunction and basically have seizures. They recover eventually, but it takes a minute. Just because they recover doesn't mean a lot of damage isn't done whenever this happens. In fact, it's actually pretty catastrophic. In the second episode, Carol learns that a single freakout in the immediate aftermath of the invasion ended up causing about 11 million deaths worldwide. We'll say that one more time for good measure. 11 million deaths! Yikes. Still, this hardly compares to the staggering amount of deaths that occur at the hands of the virus, which was
886 million. 477,591.
Double yikes. So obviously this paves the way for an interesting philosophical discussion. While both parties are responsible for their respective kill counts, neither of them intended for this to happen. In Carol's case, she caused a lesser amount of deaths, but as long as she remains uninfected and thus quite a bit more cranky and prone to emotional outbursts, she has the potential to continue causing fatal mayhem as the days go on. In theory, if Carol remains unchecked for the rest of her life, her kill count could eventually surpass that of the virus. In the case of the infected, the initial cost of the virus spreading was much higher, but now that it's over, no other deaths will occur as a direct result of it. So, what's the lesser evil? As far as the other immune people go, pretty much all of them see the virus as a positive thing, despite all of the eggs that had to be broken to make the omelette. World peace was achieved pretty much overnight, and the infected people are pretty dang pleasant to be around. They're helpful, knowledgeable, and down for pretty much whatever. They're even willing to do sexual favors for the uninfected if they so desire, which one of them unsurprisingly takes full advantage of. The real kicker, though, is that some of the uninfected want to be assimilated into the virus's hive mind. Why? Apparently, it's pretty great. Carol doesn't buy it, though. The way Carol sees it, it doesn't matter how great it might be. It all comes down to the cost of totally relinquishing one's freedom and sense of individuality, which is essentially one's humanity. She's just not willing to do that. But how exactly can Carol go about fighting the virus and stopping this total invasion of planet Earth from happening? Let's break it down into Carol's advantages and disadvantages. Okay, disadvantages first. Most of the damage is already done, and she basically has no allies at this point. Not only that, neither she or any of the other uninfected people have a background in science or math or any other useful area of expertise that would make it possible for them to discover and produce an effective vaccine. There's also the fact that the infected are pretty omniscient, both internally and externally. They can communicate with each other instantaneously across vast distances, and they can also utilize pretty much any piece of military technology they desire. For instance, there's a part in the second episode where one of the infected tells Carol that they were keeping tabs on her with a surveillance drone. So sneaking around and such isn't really in the cards for Carol. As for Carol's advantages, the number one thing that she'll have to exploit is the fact that the infected absolutely will not harm her. Does this mean they won't detain her and lock her up in a cell? This remains to be seen, but for now we can assume that they don't mess with free will to that extent. Just the fact that they haven't already done so while they search for a way to neutralize her immunity is proof enough of this. Plus, they pretty much told her straight up that she can do whatever she wants.
Your life is your own. Please know that. Your well-being is of utmost importance to us.
The other main advantage Carol has is her power of deception. Not only has she managed to dupe her countless fans into thinking that she loves what she does, she was also able to hide significant aspects of her personal life from them over the years. Add to that her ability to tell a good story, and you have a perfect recipe for some quality deception. Whatever she ends up doing to thwart the infected, her actions will have to appear as something else entirely, all while happening right under their noses. In other words, she's going to have to employ some Ethan Hunt-level trickery to get the job done. But considering how Pluribus is set to consist of at least 2 seasons, it's likely that she won't be finding much success by the time season 1 comes to an end. If anything, there might be a whole new complication that makes everything seem even more hopeless. All of that being said, you're probably wondering what we actually think about Pluribus after watching the 2-episode premiere. Honestly, we're pretty stoked about it so far. We'll admit that we initially weren't too excited about the show based on the premise alone. The mob mentality versus the individual theme almost seemed too obvious and cheap when taken at face value. And really, is anyone in the mood for content that reminds us of society's ills right now? After actually watching the show, we think this overarching theme is just vague enough to be overshadowed by the quality of the writing and the originality of Gilligan's take on the alien invasion zombie apocalypse tropes. His love for sci-fi and his storied history with the X-Files really shines through in all the best ways. And seriously, how can we not trust him to keep wowing us after Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Add to that Ray Seahorn's masterful acting, which we were already well acquainted with thanks to her work on Saul, and it's almost impossible to argue with the results. Anything is possible though, so we're not gonna offer up a true verdict until season 1 comes to an end. Seemingly perfect shows have been ruined many times before, right? Make sure to stay tuned and check back in with us after the last episode of Season 1 drops.